Hey all, welcome to a new format that I'm trying out that I'm placeholder titling Miscellaneous Musings. The idea behind it being that sometimes I just want to talk about a topic or idea in an informal setting, so not scripted like a video essay would be, not high production values like an attention span would be, just wanting to talk and go off on tangents when I want to about whatever topic immediately comes to mind. Basically, I'm not holding myself back like I do with a video essay. And so the reason why I wanted to try this out at this moment is that we're coming down to the end of Hyouka, and I've been thinking a lot about the series lately. As of this recording, I only have scripts 21 and 22 left to write. I've finished all of the other ones. Well, I shouldn't say finished. I have the OP and ED actually done. Done. Those will come out before episode 22 comes out. For episodes 19 and 20, I've written the scripts, but I need to go through and edit the words and then record them and then edit the visuals and figure out if I need any graphics, all that good stuff. And the reason why Hyouka episodes take so long to produce, despite the fact that I'm constantly pestered about it on YouTube and Twitter, is that I've become too perfectionist about it. I really want every Hyouka video that I release to be that much better than the last one, than the one that preceded it, which is a pretty high bar given that I feel like most of my episodes have already been very high quality. But I want to make sure that I'm not just releasing a video that will be enjoyable to the percentage of the audience that just wants to rewatch Hyouka through the analysis series, which is such an interesting place to be. But I want each and every episode to be an interesting take on Hyouka and build into the larger narrative that I've been constructing about the series. And that just requires me to be more deliberate about my decision making, what I'm going to include, how I'm going to structure, what I'm going to omit. These are all things that I'm thinking about now that I wasn't thinking about when I first started the video series. And part of that is because of the reason for the topic, the reason why I'm making this video, because people message me and say, I watched Hyouka because of your analysis series. And that has gotten me thinking about the way that the direction in which we come to narrative or how that impacts our engagement with narrative. I guess the best way to talk about this would be to talk about my direction, the way that I came to experience Hyouka for the first time. So in late 2013, one of my friends introduced me to TV anime with Attack on Titan. And then I feel like after that, it had to have been Sword Art Online, and then it must have been Gurren, because at that point he would have pushed that on me. And those were my first three anime, and I remember sometime in I'm going to go with mid 2014, maybe early 2014, looking up these anime series on YouTube and finding Arcada, GR Arcada, Glass Reflections. I watched a bunch of his videos, and I wound up watching a bunch of series that he recommended. Gosick comes to mind as the preeminent example of a show that I really, really enjoyed that he recommended. Gosick's a great show. If you enjoy mystery series, you should watch it. It does the Sherlock building on mysteries style that I really like. It's Sherlock BBC. I highly recommend Gosick. I think it's a great show. Very strong music. I use the soundtrack in a lot of my videos when I need something creepy because it nails that shit out of the park. But anyway, Arcada released a video about Hyouka, I'm going to guess sometime between late 2014, early 2015, because this was still pretty early on in my experience. Hyouka was one of the first shows I watched, and I really only watched what got recommended to me either through Arcada or through friends. So I hadn't seen much of anything at that point, frankly. And I chose to watch the show because Arcada recommended it and because it was a mystery show. And I just got finished saying how much I love mystery. I love BBC Sherlock. I love Gosick. Love might be strong for Gosick. I really enjoy Gosick. And I really, really enjoy BBC Sherlock. And I love Hyouka. And so I came into the show from a mystery lens. I didn't come at it from a detail-oriented perspective. I didn't come at it from a character perspective. Didn't come at it from a production standpoint or any of those things. I came at it because I wanted to see how the mysteries were done. And so, I don't think Hyouka's mysteries are the greatest thing in the world. They're very interesting. I love how they're set up. I think those elements are great. But that was how I came into it, and then I came to love the characters by the end. And I do think the personal aspects of the mystery are really interesting. And I think that's why I wound up really liking the characters, because the Sekitani Jun mystery said so much about Hotaro and Chitanda, because the Fool mystery said so much about Irisu and Hotaro, because the Weight of Great Expectations, the festival arc, said so much about all four of the characters. I think that's where I really came to love the characters, because the mysteries empowered the characters, whereas a series like Go Sick, the mysteries are the drawing point and they're more interested in how it builds into the world than how it affects the characters, though there are mysteries in Go Sick that do affect the characters, and those are interesting. Which actually makes me realize that I was watching Hyouka's mysteries from a process perspective. So I was interested in how they were set up and not like the suspense or like the stakes. Because if you're watching Hyouka from a mystery perspective and you want like insane stakes, like, oh, how'd they kill that guy? You're going to be fundamentally disappointed. The mysteries cannot be solved, like could go unsolved, and like nothing would change in the landscape. No one's going to go to jail for a crime they didn't commit. Like nothing like that is going to happen in Hyouka. It's just not how it works. So you kind of have to come at it from a process perspective instead of a stakes perspective, I guess would be the best way to describe that. And so that's how I came into Hyouka, from that like process mystery perspective, like a narrative focus. But I think someone who's watching the videos, let's say like Imaginary Person A watches Hyouka episode video 1 and is like, okay, I'll watch this series. Like, it seems like it has a lot of details. It has a lot of like depth to it. I think that's like, it's a good place to come from. It's not as ideal as no knowledge whatsoever, like stumbles upon Hyouka by total accident, watches the first episode, because there's already, you know, you're subconsciously primed, I suppose, to like be looking for the details and be looking for like the small minutia. And that makes me concerned that someone could mistake the forest for the trees a little bit, not realize how these like small bits build into the larger whole. Whereas if you watch the show once through, while only focused on that larger thing, and then you rewatch, you're going to see all this like minutia and how things are structured and how we introduce new elements and how, you know, this character interactions lays the groundwork for this later character interaction, all that good stuff. So I think like coming at it from a detailed perspective is like not the best, but it's definitely better than a romantic angle, which I thought of because I recently rewatched the AMV, The Boy Who Murdered Love, which is a phenomenal AMV, and if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. It's so good. It features Hotaro and Chitanda as the two primary characters, but it also features Minori from Toradora, and I love Toradora. That's a great show. And it's just very well produced, very well put together, catchy song, great editing, just very, very strong AMV. Highly recommend. And what I realize is that some people are going to watch that AMV and then they're going to watch Hyouka. And they're going to come at it from, oh, Hyouka is a love story. And I think that is the worst possible, okay, maybe not the worst possible place. If you're coming at Hyouka from a mysteries need to be like suspense thrillers, like The Promised Neverland or something, and you hate slice of life, then yeah, you're going to hate Hyouka and you're going to close it after episode 1. But I think coming at it from a romantic angle is doing the show a disservice, because I think the show it's not aromantic. It's not romantic. It has romantic elements. The first mystery, episode 1's first half, is romantic. Episode 20 is inherently romantic. Episode 21 is obviously romantic. Episode 22. But that's a lot of episodes that aren't romantic in many ways. And I think that if you're coming at the show from these two characters are going to wind up together at the end, you're going to watch the conclusion and you're not going to be satisfied, because you've mentally gone like a step further than the conclusion gets to on a surface level. And that's going to be like really infuriating. And you're unlikely to like dig down and break down why the conclusion is so great. And why, well, I'm going to get to all of that in a future video. Let's not talk about that right now. But you're unlikely to do that. And you're unlikely to do that especially because you have been expecting a certain end game that was set up by this like romantic inclination of watching the show. And so you have looked at the Hotaro and Chitanda characters through that lens the entire time and not through the like just natural character growth of building towards this that is hinted for Hotaro in the first episode, where he has like, let's be honest, just like a physical crush and not like a intellectual or mental one, because he doesn't like, he completely misunderstands who Chitanda is in the first half of the show. Not the entire first half, but like episode 6, he doesn't really get her at all. It isn't until the end, of the show that he starts to like figure out who she is. Sekitani Jun helps with that. Festival Arc helps with that. Like all of these elements help with that. But those things will, like the subtleties will either be overly magnified by that romantic outlook, or they'll be overlooked because you're just waiting, because this imaginary viewer is waiting for like the big moment where, oh, they're in love now. Like that's just not, and that I think does a disservice to the show, frankly. Maybe the biggest one, because again, Hyouka is a character show. It needs to sell you on its characters and its process. And so if you are expecting a conclusion, like a very finite conclusion in the back of your head the entire time while watching, it's not going to be satisfying, because the journey of Hyouka is a character growth one. We want to see how these characters change and how their interactions change and like the meaning that they take away from the moments in their lives and how that changes too. Yeah, I think coming at Hyouka from a romantic angle is like the worst possible one, and I'm sure someone is going to listen to this and, you know, tell me that they came at it after watching that AMV, or that they were told that it was a love story and that they still really enjoyed it. And I'm super glad. I'm super, super glad that that's the case. Like, I want to be wrong about this. I just feel like there are enough people who really subscribe to certain genre conventions. And if you try and put Hyouka in the mystery genre convention or the romance genre convention, specifically the romance one. The mystery one is fine, because I think if you enjoy the process of mystery, you'll really enjoy Hyouka. But if you're interested in the stakes aspect, you're not. I already talked about this. If you try and put Hyouka into the romance genre, I just feel like you'll be unsatisfied. You won't have gone on the journey, which is what Hyouka is fundamentally about. You will have started at the end game, and even further than the end game, frankly, and you will be viewing it always through that lens. And I think that's a disservice. And I've said that again, so I think I'm just gonna wrap this up now. I do wonder about what watching Hyouka must have been like for people who watched it weekly. I wish I had like a YouTube channel back then, and I had watched anime for a significant amount of time so that I would have done it. I think watching Hyouka episode to episode and like trying to speculate would be so interesting. But yeah, that's kind of everything I wanted to talk about. So let me know if, first off, you enjoyed the format, because this was interesting. And secondly, let me know how did you come about Hyouka, and why, and like, do you think that colored your perspective? Do you think that you were primed to view Hyouka a certain way because of the way you were introduced to it? I think about this kind of stuff all the time. I was definitely you are predisposed to like certain things or dislike certain things because of the way that someone pitches something to you. I'd love to talk more about that in the future. Maybe another video. And if I didn't introduce you to Hyouka, but I did introduce you to something like Kekai Sensen or All Ramen on the Sky, let me know if like that analytical look changed your enjoyment of the series compared to something you had been introduced to that you watched normally. I would love to know. I really would. I think it's so interesting how these things work. But yeah, let me know what you think about the format. Let me know what you think about today's topic. And until next time, take it easy.